Hello, everybody. You're welcome to another episode of the Vibe Podcast. I remain your host. My name is Orlando Ashunbar, and I am back again with another episode. I hope you guys have been good. I hope March has been a good month and you've been marching on. I hope that you've been able to make some progress one way or the other. March is the third month of the year 2024. And that is the first quarter gone. So a chunk of the year is about to go by the end of this month. And I hope you've been making the best of it. So I have been trying to make the best of it, to be honest. This year, like we explained in the last two episodes, has been a lot. But I'm glad about the baby steps. I'm also grateful to God for favor. I think one thing that I am realizing day by day is just how much you actually need to rely on God for clarity and sanity in this fallen world. And I'm grateful for it, to be honest. I think that there is more that relies on the knowledge and the understanding in Christ than people generally think. And it makes life a bit easier when you see life through the lens of the cross and our faith generally in Christ. So I hope you guys are good. This episode is going to be a very interesting one because it's going to be something that you would relate to. On this episode, we're going to be talking about self-esteem and self-esteem and how do you explain this? Let's just start with self-esteem first. We're going to be talking about self-esteem and basically how people see themselves. And I think this is something that everybody from one level to the other at any phase of life, at different stages in life, you go through, you see yourself through a particular lens. And you evaluate yourself based on how you see yourself. And this is a lifelong process, by the way. Generally, you hear about self-esteem a lot when it comes to younger people. It's like, as a teenager, work on your self-esteem. They talk to teenagers a lot about working on their self-esteem. But one thing I've realized is that self-esteem actually is a lifelong experience. How you esteem yourself is something that would express itself at every point of your life, to be honest. And while most people try to cover or act as though they have no issues with their esteem, it actually shows up in way more glaring ways than people would think. Like, for instance, why is Nigeria the place where you hear a lot of "do you know who I am?" That in and of itself is a clear indication that we have like an esteem issue in the nation as a whole. And generally, when people talk about self-esteem, they think about it from the would I say physiological, psychological point of view, where they think that someone has a self-esteem issue, so like he has a low self-esteem. But I think, and this is my own theory, I think people's esteem is not like the way they are born. I think the fallen world that we exist in puts people in circumstances from a very young age where they now start to become whatever that esteem is. So a child is born, and then either every experience that child gets as he grows older molds the child. So if the child gets, just like a plant, if the plant has adequate light, if the plant has adequate water, the plant will blossom. But it doesn't mean that the seed that plant was always destined to blossom. I don't know if you get what I mean. So if you put a child in a family that is loving, in an environment that is encouraging, in a circle that basically encourages the child to know that this is his worth and his worth is great, and he should esteem himself properly. That child is going to turn out very confident. It's going to turn out, he's going to have a good and possibly high esteem of himself. And if you put another child in the opposite, the outcome also be the opposite. And it's not because that was just the destiny of that child. And that brings me to how I would like to start this episode, which is just talking about the general falling nature of this world. As I grow older, I start to realize how much the people that were responsible for you as a child were also going through a falling world. So generally people will say, oh, my parents should have done better. I think I've spoken about that a couple of times on the podcast. And like, oh, my parents should have done this, my parents should have done that. And because they didn't do that, it's an indictment on their part. And to an extent it is, depending on the context. But sooner or later, the older you get, the more you understand that, oh, my parents were this particular way, not because they wanted to be this way, but like there are circumstances that are out of the control of adults, or that influence the behavior of an adult that the adult doesn't have full control of. And because of the situations in which the adults grew up, the adult now becomes a certain way, which can then influence a child to grow up in a certain way. Like for instance, if an adult grew up in a very unstable society or unstable environment, that child is more likely to also raise a child in a similar fashion, or basically in a fashion that has such influences in them. And this is why it's important to, as an adult, grow into awareness and take charge of your own life and your influences, so that by the time you are at the point of the greatest point of influence on another human being, which is like parenting, you are more conscious of all that it takes and how you can positively and intentionally mold that child into the best version of the child. I think it's very important to just understand that although many people, if not every parent is flawed, definitely, and they are flawed because they are human, and every human is flawed, and even the adult that's not yet a parent is also flawed. So now when I look at someone, let me give an example. When I look at someone that doesn't have great esteem in himself, I'm able to trace down to the roots and just the possibilities of what it might be. So first off, we live in a fallen world, and because we live in a fallen world, there are a number of things that just naturally would not go well. Like there is, I think I was talking to someone last week. I said, like, the world is not naturally built to create positive outcomes. So if you leave a child to grow in the current environment that exists in any part of the world, the child is less likely to turn out well. The child is more likely to turn out to be a deviant because of the information that you have in circulation, the rhetorics that you have in circulation, the arguments that involve the identity of the child directly or indirectly, whether it's male, it's female. You get just general conversations that happen in public domain that cast a particular expectation of an individual, whether it's a guy or a girl. And not even just, so there's the gender aspect, there's the socio-economic aspect. So like, in what strata are you born into? Are you from a middle class home? Are you from a high class home? Are you from a lower class home? And depending on the society that you're born in, there are societies that their hierarchy of economically is clearly stated. Like there are even ways to identify that. Oh, like for instance, in a place like India that has a caste system, you know if someone's from a rich home or is from a poor home. So all of those things, they influence how the person sees himself. And then you have other aspects like what does the person have access to, which is also a flow from like the socio-economical ability of the child. So to a very large extent, the discussion about self-esteem is directly influenced by the things that society emphasizes. And that this is why it's very important to understand, because as we continue, you will now understand why a lot of people that are adults aspire to success as a way of hiding esteem issues. And but let's just keep going. Other factors that can influence how a person's esteem is includes love. So the general reality of being loved and being accepted and being cherished in a home directly affects how much value an individual sees in himself. And this is why it's very important. So if someone has not received love at home, the person is less likely to give love outside. If somebody has not received love at home, the person is less likely to believe that the person has a particular value in and of himself. If someone is in a society or an environment where he is largely judged by the outcomes of his action or his outcome of his effort rather than the effort itself, that molds the person into something. And this is why it's very important as an individual to show as much love, as much light, and share as much love and light to anybody that you meet, because you really don't know who has had a terrible childhood, or who has never experienced love, or who has experienced the worst possible reality, and because of that person's background, the person turns out to be a bad child, do you get, or a bad person. And just you being light to the person is a good effort to wake the person up, that there is possibility of light that doesn't aspire to take from the giver of light. And I think that's very essential. So this is, once you understand that everybody that you see that is shouting, "Oh, do you know who I am?" or anybody that you see that is very, very timid or very, very, very shy, not just a reservedness but shy, or someone that doubts his ability, know that that person is actually, that reality is a product of a fallen world / a fallen society, or failed caregivers, let's put it that way. And this is why it's important to be light and to love people and to be there for people. So because a lot of times there are people that the way people see themselves is also largely influenced. Now this is at the adult level. The way people see themselves as adults is largely defined or influenced by how much they have. And this is a facade of some sort. I think it's a facade like that. Before people can see themselves as worthy, they have to have a particular amount of money, or they have to have a particular amount of possessions, or they have to see themselves in a particular way, or have people look up to them, or have people that they can control or manipulate. And all of these things are just byproducts of what we started with, a fallen world. That people think that for them to be better, people need to be worse off. And that's such a terrible thing, to be honest. That somebody's confidence is built on the foundation that another person lacks it. And this is why, so I propose a better way. And it's not a new way, because when I think about myself, a lot of people meet me and say, "Oh, Ore, you're so confident. I really like the way you carry yourself, and I really just like your energy." And to be honest, when I think now and I try to reflect on why I have a sense of confidence in and around me, it was against many odds. Because I think I was talking to somebody about when children get insulted, when somebody says, "Oh, you have a big head," and the person starts saying, "Oh my God, my head is big, my head is big, my head is big." With every insult that a child gets, if the child's understanding of himself is not solid or founded on solid principles, when the child is questioned or doubted in public, the child is more likely to fold. default is a very funny way to put it, but the child is more likely to not believe that he is of value because of there is nothing that, if there is nothing that convinces the child that the child is of value, the child can think that he holds or is of no value. And this is why it's important to build confidence into people around you. It's important to be a character builder in the people around you. Be someone that makes people believe in themselves. Don't make people doubt their abilities or doubt their worth. Because to be honest, when people doubt their worth is because they have made a connection in their heads between their outcome or their reality with their worth. And because of my understanding of what a person consists of, like for instance, a human being is made by God. And if a human being is made by God, just the sheer randomness of what I explained in the beginning of how, like, the things that influence a person's confidence or self-worth in the societal context is very random. And all of those factors, a loving home, your economic strata, all of those things are so random that if you happen to have a solid esteem of yourself, you should build the esteem of other people rather than pull it down so that you can feel good. And this is very important because the older I get, the more I realize that we just don't have enough people that are societally aware or societally conscious, or people that are working towards making others better. We're in a generation and a time where everybody is fixated on themselves, what they can get, how they can accomplish. We have people that want to take endlessly and give measuredly, or don't even want to give at all. So it's important that you are checking yourself, so the people around you, your siblings, your friends, your colleagues, how are you being a good impact to those people? Because a lot of times we say, success by all means is the goal, which is what happens when, like, you lose your moral grounding as to your search for success. A lot of people think success is the goal regardless, so we just chase this success, give it whatever it takes, and we are good. But it's good to remember that this life will pass. 1, 2, there is intrinsic value in people. Like, people that are born of God, in the image of God, are already of value, and it's important for us to play a part in reminding people that they are of value. If I look in the mirror and I see myself, I remember that, and I know that, this is who I am because of what I saw in the mirror. But it's also important, if God made all of us, to remind other people that you are also beautiful, you are also worthy of value, you are worth it, whatever it might be. And then, but not just an inflated sense of ego, but a balanced sense of ego, that you are not defined by what you have or you don't have, but you also have a responsibility to continue to build on yourself, to continue to grow as an individual. It's that balance, not the belief that you are the cake, you are the icing, you are the everything. The world exists just because you are. You get like an inflated sense of worth. That's not what I'm trying to talk about. I'm talking about just the sheer ability to believe in one's ability and in one's intrinsic worth. I think it's very important, because I've seen a lot of people chance the same out of opportunities. I've seen people not believe in their abilities. I've seen people turn down love. I've seen people turn down help. I've seen people turn down other people trying to help them because they believe that they don't deserve. And I've seen people that when bad things happen to them, they say they deserve the bad things. But when good things happen to them, they say, oh my God, it's so random. And it's a disposition of their minds and their hearts. And this is why the best foundation you can have as an individual is actually on the Word of God. It's essential, it's key, it's primary. Like the Bible says, you are made in the image of God. Like you are worthy. You are worth more than than the sparrows, for instance, and God provides for the sparrows. And I like how he says, are you not worth more? Do you get more than these? Like, are you not worth more than these sparrows that come and go? And I think it's important to remember that you are worth more. Like, you are worthy of, you are of value. And like, it's not just in the proclamation that you are actually worthy of value. You are worthy of value enough for Jesus Christ to come and die for you, like to come and lay down his life for you, to save you, because he finds you of value enough for God to come and become man on your account. And I think that is the deepest foundation to build self-worth and self-esteem on. It's foundational, it's primary. So if you say, why is someone, and this is even linked to like just the share, you cannot kill a fellow individual because you did not give the person life. That is because there is value in the life of an individual. And the reason why there is value is because that individual was created with value in mind. You get? And it makes sense because we are made in the image of God. So if we are of value simply because we are created, then the Creator has imposed value on us. Like, no, let me not use that example. That would have worked. I was saying like a $10 bill has an intrinsic value of $10. Do you get? And it doesn't get less value than that $10 so far it exists. It is still $10, and that's not a bad example, but it's just like commercializing. Yeah, so let's not use that example. And I also want to highlight that there is a commercialization of esteem and worth. Like people say, oh, if you have money, you are worth more. What's your net worth? These lingos do you get, and how society worships money, and society worships people that have achieved a lot more, and it's sometimes not even worships, now it's respect, but respect can turn to something else. It's important to, as you exist in a society that is so commercial, it's good to know that even if you have nothing, you are still of value, and if you have everything, you are still not of more value than the next person. Very important, because society will have you think that you are the best in sliced bread because you are on the side of the scale that aligns with them and what they desire and their needs. But by the time that form of judgment is put to you in the same harshness and you are not on that side, the favorable side, that's when you realize that all things are cruel. Like for instance, if somebody is tribalist, you get? If somebody is tribalist and the person says, oh, you are not my kingsman, so you are not worthy to live, you are worthless. The person you would hate it, do you get? But if they see that somebody that doesn't have money is worthless than you are, you might not hate it because you have money. So it's important to hold yourselves to standards and hold yourselves to logic that don't just only compensate and celebrate you or aggrandize or like make you feel good about yourself, but also just things that are principles that exist in fairness, in all fairness to all parties. Is very important and it's essential, because that's the only way we'll have a society that is more conscious, a society that is more warm, a society that is more that has more positive influence and more positive value. Because for instance, you have values, and because for instance now you have a society that it doesn't really matter where people get money from. It's just the fact that they have money and then people worship them. So people are worshiping money indirectly. It's not really about the people that have the money. It's just the fact that you have money and you have purchasing power. So it's important and crucial that we are able to fuel people to estimate themselves highly or esteem themselves highly rather than bring themselves down because of a lack of love, a lack of societal positioning or background that would enable somebody to feel less than who the person truly is as a person that was born in the image of God in Adam. So as a believer, as a person, ensure that you see people as their worth, which is worthy of value, not less than their worth. you should inspire people to believe in themselves. Be of good impact, and let people see themselves better because they came in contact with you. I was just thinking about this, and I was like, I should actually talk about self-esteem, because to be honest, I went through a lot. It was against all odds that I believed in myself eventually. I think it is a broken society that should work like that. That, like, because somebody is dark skinned, I remember time people call me black boy or something, I don't know. And then I was slim also, so people insulted me that I was slim. But I think in that time, the reason why one of the ways I survived was because I had a very sharp mouth. So if you give it to me, I give it to you. But that's not a good way to escape such experiences. Do you get? Because if you use your mouth to jailbreak such situations, you will leave a trauma to yourself, and you will not realize why you're so swift to throw an insult or quick to say a word that you know that can pain somebody. But that's not really the kind of life that you want to live. Neither is it the kind of life you want to pass on to your own children. It's essential that we optimize intentionally for a better society, and we're able to find the root causes for some of the things that we've gone through and some of the trauma that we feel. I think it's very essential, because this world naturally makes monsters and naturally makes monstrous situations. What to do, I beg? I don't know if that's what to do, but yeah. So please, today, understand esteem. I hope from this episode you've understood esteem, and you've also learned how to be good to other people, or maybe how to even fix your own esteem. If you have a low estimation of yourself, you should read what God says about you. Also, you should put yourself in among people that would remind you that you're of value, and find people that will love you, be there for you, and make you believe that you are worth and worthy of good. You are of value. Thank you very much, and do have an amazing day. #Remains Divide podcast. Thank you very much for sharing. I've noticed that a lot of people have joined us. I think over the past week or two, we've actually added like 50 subscribers. Thank you very much for sharing and telling people about the podcast. I deeply appreciate it. Until the next episode, remain your host, Aurelio Ashwin Barre. Do take care, guys. Safe.